Good day, everyone. Today we will be presenting our research proposal titled Born into Business or Learning It Anew: How Family Support System and Academic Disciplines Shape Entrepreneurial Action. So, this study explores how family business environments and academic backgrounds influence the actual entrepreneurial behaviors of students. So, this study investigates how different forms of family business support systems, such as emotional support, mentorship, knowledge transfer, and access to resources, shape the entrepreneurial actions of students with family business backgrounds. We also examine the psychological mechanisms of entrepreneurial self efficacy, perceived behavioral control, and entrepreneurial intentions, which may influence how students move from intentions to actions. Additionally, the study compares business and non business students to determine how academic discipline affects the development of entrepreneurial action. Overall, the research integrates social cognitive theory and the theory of planned behavior to explain how exposure becomes behavior. Research gap. Our research addresses several gaps found in existing literature. First, prior studies examine emotional support, mentorship, knowledge transfer, and resource access separately but not as an integrated family support system. Second, while psychological factors such as self efficacy and perceived behavioral control are well explored individually, there is still no unified pathway explaining how family support leads to entrepreneurial action. Third, most succession and mentoring studies focus on primary heirs, leaving non successor students under examined. Fourth, modern influences like digital knowledge transfer and blended family structures remain insufficiently studied. Academic discipline is also rarely considered as a moderating factor. Lastly, most existing research measures entrepreneurial intentions rather than real entrepreneurial actions. And with that, our study's response to these gaps. The central question guiding this study is: how do family business support systems influence the entrepreneurial actions of undergraduate students with family business backgrounds? To answer this, we also identified the students' demographic profiles, determine their existing support mechanisms, evaluate how these supports influence entrepreneurial action, and compare business and non business students. Objectives of the study. Our primary objective is to determine the influence of family business support systems on the entrepreneurial actions of students with family business backgrounds. Specifically, we aim to describe respondents' demographic characteristics, identify the types of family business support they receive, examine how these supports impact entrepreneurial actions, and determine whether business and non business students differ in their entrepreneurial behavior. Significance of the study. So, this study contributes valuable insights to various groups. For students, it clarifies how family support shapes entrepreneurial confidence and readiness. For family business owners, it identifies which support types best develop future entrepreneurial leaders. For educational institutions, it informs curriculum and program improvements aimed to fostering entrepreneurship. Lastly, future researchers may build upon this study when exploring family based entrepreneurship. Scope and limitations. The study focuses on family business support systems and their influence on entrepreneurial action among DLSU undergraduate students with family business backgrounds. It incorporates psychological mediators such as self efficacy, perceived behavioral control, and entrepreneurial intention, with academic discipline serving as a moderator. Limitations include the study's single university setting, reliance on self reported data, and cross sectional design, which restrict generalizability and long term behavioral assessments.
The theoretical framework integrates social cognitive theory and a theory of planned behavior to explain how family business support systems influence entrepreneurial action. Family business support systems fosters entrepreneurial self-efficacy through observational learning, which then enhances perceived behavioral control and strengthens entrepreneurial intentions, as outlined by the theory of planned behavior. Strong entrepreneurial intention subsequently drives concrete entrepreneurial actions. Academic discipline moderates this process, with business students potentially leveraging formal education to better convert family support into entrepreneurial outcomes. The conceptual framework illustrates the relationships between key variables in this study. Family business support systems, comprising of emotional support, mentorship, knowledge transfer, and financial access, serves as the independent variable that shapes students' entrepreneurial pathways. This influence is not direct. Instead, it operates through a series of psychological and cognitive mechanisms, namely entrepreneurial self efficacy, perceived behavioral control, and entrepreneurial intentions. Family business support systems builds entrepreneurial self-efficacy, which increases perceived behavioral control and strengthens entrepreneurial intention, collectively mediating the path towards entrepreneurial actions, measured by activities like business registration, prototyping, and revenue generation. Furthermore, academic discipline acts as a moderating variable, positing that the strength of these relationships differs between business and non business students due to the variations in formal entrepreneurial training and exposure. This framework visually maps how family backgrounds, psychological processes, and educational contexts interact to drive entrepreneurial behavior. The operational framework translates the conceptual model into measurable constructs and analytical procedures. It defines family business support systems using a multi item scale assessing mentorship, emotional support, resource access, and knowledge transfer. The mediating variables, which are entrepreneurial self efficacy, perceived behavioral control, and entrepreneurial intentions, are measured through validated psychological skills adapted from prior studies. Entrepreneurial action is operationalized as a checklist of observational behaviors, such as business model creation, securing funding, or achieving first revenue. Academic discipline is treated as a binary moderating variable, which are business versus non business majors. The framework outlines a statistical analysis plan using regression and process macro mediation moderation models to test hypothesized pathways, examining both direct and indirect effects while controlling for demographic variables. This structured approach ensures empirical testing of how family support translates into entrepreneurial outcomes through psychological mechanisms moderated by field of study. This study employs a quantitative research design, utilizing a structured survey instrument composed of validated scales to collect data from undergraduate students at De La Salle University, Manila, who have a family business background. The survey integrates adapted questionnaires from Sabo and Aranyosi 2024, Abun et al. 2022, and Joshua and Nisha 2025 to measure family business support systems, psychological and cognitive mechanisms, and entrepreneurial action, with an added section on academic discipline. A non-probability sampling method, specifically stratified purposive and snowball sampling, is used to recruit participants from both business and non-business academic programs. Data analysis is conducted using descriptive statistics, correlational analysis, multiple regression, and moderated mediation analysis via the process macro in SPSS, enabling the examination of direct, indirect, and moderated relationships as outlined in the conceptual framework. Ethical considerations, including voluntary participation, anonymity, and data confidentiality, are strictly observed through the research process. Once again, our topic is titled Born into Business or Learning It Anew: How Family Support System and Academic Discipline Shapes Entrepreneurial Action. Thank you for listening.